So good morning, everybody, and thanks for participating at this webinar, which is a joint effort of Prodata, Aruba, and Silverpeak. So my name is David de Vogelen. I'm a marketing and sales operations manager at Prodata Systems. We are an integrated located in Zaventem near Brussels. And I will give a short introduction. Also, Robin Loos is one of the hosts. He's working at Aruba, which is a partner of Prodata, as a partner business manager for the Benelux. Okay, I will, maybe one slide, I will explain a bit more about Prodata. Oscar, if you can go to the next slide, thanks. So we are like more than 40 years already on the market, which is quite unique already, I think. And we are specialized in mission critical and complex networks. Later on, I will show some examples. We are a gold partner with Aruba already for a long time, and we already did many projects deploying new networks, including a security part of those networks. We are 100% Belgian company, which is also becoming more and more unique. And customer intimacy is part of our DNA. When we each year we ask our customers about their satisfaction, and the score is really high. We want to keep that. So customer first is part of our DNA. We have around 300 certifications. So and our profiles are more senior consultants. So so basically that's also quite important to have those certifications to deliver a project in a good quality way. So also we are ISO certified. And I think something that's also quite unique, we are big enough to deliver big and complex projects, but we are also small enough to care. So that makes us very agile and flexible. Or also we have a very flat structure, and our CEO is quite flexible. So often he also is in events or going to customer meetings. Also something that's a bit different is that we don't have a Chinese wall between the people who are delivering the project and our support desks. So we don't throw the hot potato from one side to another, because our consultants, they switch from time to time from the field to the support desk. And I think we have, that we are the right partner for Aruba for complex projects, including SDWAN projects, and that your organization can fluently grow towards new business challenges. Yeah. Okay, and to show that we are really can do complex projects is Brussels Airport, one of our nice customers, let's say, where we deliver the whole new network project with Aruba. So that means the switching, the wireless, the NAC, the authentication system, also the security, the geolocalization. So basically, this is a very business critical network, of course, and they are already a customer for I think a couple of years. And to give you an example, there were 11 candidates that potentially can do this project, and there was Prodata who win against many big other competitors. So the scope of the project is more than 1,000 switching points, let's say. So Oscar, if you maybe can go to the next slide. So you see there's more than 400 access points, 600 switches for the campus, and also around 70 core switches. So this makes it like a quite challenging project to deliver it in phases, of course. And also on top, we deployed the ClearPass and Airwave network management. And a couple of other references of also mission critical networks is, for example, defense in Belgium, Jan de Nul, where we even do the access points, so deployed access points on the boats. So basically access points on the boats, which is also quite unique. MEVB STEP, which include the 80 metro stations in Brussels, which means also 15,000 cameras connected to the whole network. And also quite a lot of hospitals. They fall back on Prodata to build and maintain their network. So I think these references are also yeah, nice to mention. Let's say if one day your organization is switching to SD-WAN, I'm sure you want a partner that everything goes very fluently in the project. So I think, Oscar, the floor is yours now. So I give the word to you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Robin, for setting this up, offering me this wonderful stage to tell a little bit about SD-WAN. Yeah, a little bit about myself. The past 25 years, I've been working in the industry, as they say. Foremost, yeah, always American companies. And yeah, one of the highlights when I started the early days at Getronics, yeah, one of the topics was then ATM to the desktop, 25 MB. You know, there was huge. It was a carrier transport mechanism brought to the desktop. There was something new. At that time was sold to Philips Pensioenfonds. Another thing that comes to mind is voice over IP. You know, going back 20 years in time, talking about voice over IP to customers, like, you know, what's happening? You know, everything was separated, and all of a sudden, this transport mechanism of IP coming over, voice coming over an IP infrastructure, that was completely new. And you know, my first conversation with customers was like, this is not going to happen. You know, it was more redundant, it was more secure, but it happened. You know, everywhere is now voice over IP. So the old systems are no longer sold anymore. And then, of course, one time I worked for a smaller company, LI Telesis, but even at that time, you know, using your strength, offering 10 times the bandwidth instead of 100 MB, offering gigabit to the desktop, that was very compelling for a customer. And yeah, there was a project sold to Waternet in Amsterdam. And another example of this new HD video conferencing coming to the table. There was a project that was sold to ESA, the European Space Agency, that all of a sudden it was not so grainy and tiny images, but it was very clear. So for them, they have all the times they have these meetings, they could see each other's faces very clearly. So that was an eye opener for them, and excellent moving forward. And yeah, one of the last was when I was working for IBM, I was the first one to solve an SD data center project worldwide. But yeah, pioneering at the edge sometimes has a risk, because we sold it, we implemented, did a test, but then IBM hesitated to go full blown in a carrier environment, a data balance, and yeah, they didn't want to back that up, so we had to pull back. So when you move with new technology, it is always important to understand where you are at that specific point in time, because not every technology is mature enough. So it's always good to speak openly about it and to understand where you are. And yeah, so I prepared a presentation for you, and I'm going to take you through all of these points. It's a lot of slides. Don't worry, I'll gently, you know, pull you through all these slides, so you don't have to read all the stuff it's on. It's too much to read in 45 minutes. What I'm going to talk about is the journey, Aruba's DNA, the analyst reports. What do they say? SASE already existed. Now NISAS is coming up. What's that all about? So let's compare these two. We're going to talk about the WAN transformation. Everybody's yelling, we've got SD-WAN. Is that so? A little bit of integration of Aruba into Central. So it's important for many Aruba customers. Does this integrate? Then about our solution, because we have multiple solutions. A little bit about the orchestrator, our management tool. Cloud integration, very important. Security integration, even more important. And then, of course, the topic about money. Where does it fit in? What does it cost me? And you know, we decided, because the group is too large and the hour is too short. No, please put your questions in the Q&A, and if there's time, we'll answer them. If not, we'll come back to you personal basis or in a group basis. We'll answer these questions. Now let's see. Every company, like David talked about when he explained Prodata, every company has its own DNA. I joined in 6 months ago, and for me it was also an eye-opener, because Aruba has a different look and feel. It is part of HPE, but it doesn't feel like HPE. I've worked for IBM. For me, you know, this big HPE is like IBM. Lots of processes, everything well organized. But yeah, fortunately, Aruba is its own vessel. It flies its own course. And now what you're actually seeing, because Aruba is a very profitable business division, that HP is modeling its business processes according to Aruba because it's seeing it's more successful. So it's copy pasting our way of doing business. And it's more or less like David said, we're flat, we're easy to access, we listen to customers, we improve our products and try to bring out the best product. And that's actually how this company started 20 years ago. A group of friends coming together saying, this wireless product, can we improve it? It's not good enough. And that's mindset is what you see all through all product lines. That's also with the latest acquisition of Silverpeak, a little over a year ago. They looked at their own portfolio. They saw 8 of 10 projects they could fulfill, but in some projects, customers were asking for more. So instead of going back to the drawing board and try to improve, there wasn't enough time. They say, okay, let's go out and buy the premium brand, the best that's out there. And that was Silverpeak in their eyes. So when you have this mindset of trying to bring the best product, that will get rewarded because all over our product line, when Gartner, IDC, Forrester looks at our product line, we get rewarded always, highest, best in breed, best in class, so all through. And if you're looking, for instance, with the latest that come out from Gartner, with regard to SD-WAN, you can see that the Aruba and Silverpeak line, they still have like this separation, although for us, we try to not separate it, but they separate the product lines and they say both product lines, they are in the leader quadrant. So our product lines belong there. And you can see the other competitors as well. We, on the other hand, although of course we are very happy to be the leader, we are not happy with our place down below. And we have this discussion going on with Gartner because Gartner states that it is, you get like extra products if you have like security products built in. If you have this single vendor solution, they give extra credit. We think from Aruba that is not the right way forward. And now, luckily for us, we got support from IDC. I'm going to show you later on. But yeah, we have a different mindset with regards to how to approach this market, this application, this technology. So when you look at this topic of SD-WAN, I mean, where are we? When I talk to customers, most of the customers all have already implemented some stages of SD-WAN. And many of them say, for next year, most surely I will start SD-WAN. But when you start talking about SD-WAN, you also have to include SASE and NESAS. Now, by the way, we'll touch that topic later. But this was, with the topic was SASE. Because SASE is now, when you have this depreciation period of 3 to 5 years, you will already have to think about the SASE solution, about security, all these kinds of things you will see mentioned in the SASE box. So it is no longer that you say, okay, I'm going to implement a SD-WAN solution and then later on think about what to do with the SASE topic. No, when you select a vendor, you have to think of the total picture because it is part of the total picture. You can no longer separate these. Of course, the impact of COVID, it is huge. I'm working from home, my colleague Robin is from Barcelona. David, I think is also from, I'm not even sure where he works from. So everybody is dispersed. Everybody works from everywhere. So, and we also see that with the spendings, the allocation of budgets, a lot of budget goes into SD-WAN and into the security topic. We see this large allocation towards this topic. So that's good, of course, if you're selling SD-WAN products. Then, of course, about the maturity. As I said, I've sold many products that were in the front line. Some were successful, some was too early. So what about SD-WAN? When I look at this Gartner report, I add up all these projects from all of our competitors. I come up over 200,000 rollouts of SD-WAN. So you can say it's a safe project, safe product to move forward with any vendor you would like to select. If you look, of course, of the topic of SASE, they can also already see it's coming down the slope. So within 1 or 2 years, indeed, this will be an integrated part of the total solution. Then, of course, many ask, but what is SASE? Well, it's not a product. It's an architecture. It's a framework. It's a way of setting. Okay, so if you want to have like a solution, think of all these items that need to be addressed. That's what SASE is all about. But at the one hand, as I said, Gartner came up with this term of SASE, and IDC just recently dropped another term, and it's called NESAS. And NESAS stands for Network Edge Security as a Service. And for us, luckily, they share our view of the market. They share our view of looking at things They see that this security topic needs to be decoupled. So this is for us very important moving forward. When you put these two together, you can see SASE on the left, NESAS on the right. And as you can see, NESAS goes beyond what the requirements for SASE are. And there's a lot more checks in the box that you need to fulfill if you want to be NESAS compliant. So for us, you know, if you're compliant with the term that goes beyond SASE, and we can say, yes, we can. So that's for us a good strategy moving forward. And on the right, you can see with the Edge Connect, with the Silverpeak application, that we do most of them. And with the SASE, we do all checks in the box. And you can see that we work with the best of breed policy. So I'm going to show you what that exactly means. But for SASE, we're there. And with NESAS, we have some things to do still. And then, of course, when you compare this is when the discussion becomes very interesting. So IDC states that you should choose for best of breed. And this single vendor is a lock-in. It's a bottleneck. So that's very interesting, because also when you study this Gartner report, although when you look at this big competitor, you see that they, of course, they offer a single vendor solution, but integration with others is not very good. They score low on customer experience, and they have pricing issues with the vendor lock-in. So these all confirm what we see in our market. And that's why we think that choosing best of breed, if it's partner solution, is for customers the best way to move forward. So and if you put them all together, then you can see that the NESAS architecture topology spans all bandwidth. It goes beyond. Also the agentless devices in your network, the point of sale, the camera is also included in this topic. So then, of course, then when you start talking to customers, I mean, what's it all about? Why should you even start a conversation with SD-WAN? Mostly it starts with money. It's always about, okay, so we have MPLS line, the cost is very high. Can we replace them? But it's not just replacing one for the other and then see if you can save on cost. It is broader. It is security. It is internet breakouts. It's application. It is far better. And some even, you know, with some customers, they check all the boxes. It's not just one or two. And the rollout is also implicating and impacting all, as we will see later on. If you would do like a calculation, you could see that it ticks all the boxes, and the savings are more than just on MPLS lines. And then this is also very interesting. Last time I heard from somebody, there's like 60 vendors. They all say we have SD-WAN. So when we cut it up into pieces, and then we say, okay, so we start at the basic layer, path selection, internet breakout, tunneling. That's what we call basic layer. But then of course, then there are a lot of companies that say, yeah, we do SD-WAN. But yeah, what do they exactly do then? They do zero-touch provisioning, internet breakout, automated templates. Okay, so that's interesting, but it's not exactly the same, right? Because we have the advanced SD-WAN on top that gives you the full orchestration and voice and video broadband with SLAs. Then we have this new WAN Edge on top that we said we have a unified platform, integrated automated continuous self-learning. And on top of that, we have the self-driving. And that's when we, from Aruba, Silverpeak, start talking about SD-WAN. That's what we are trying to say. That is what we are saying. With artificial intelligence built in, the application itself should deal with all the decisions. It is no longer that you have to wait for someone to call you, try to find out what's wrong. Is it the application? Is it the line? Then to figure out how to best connect. No, it has to do it all itself. And that's what we call it self-driving WAN. Then, of course, so what's our vision? How do we see? How do we approach this market? At Aruba, we say we do not longer care about the underlay. For us, it's just cable. So satellite communication, MPLS, internet broadband, we don't care. It's just cable. It's underlay. We don't care. On top, however, the protect layer has become very, very important. Yeah, we see every day, we see examples of ransomware, DDoS attacks. So this become very important. Even, you know, working from home, you've got your refrigerator, you got your microwave, they all become internet connected. That's fantastic. That's a nice gimmick, but it's also a threat because via these applications, you know, malicious-ware could get in, people with bad intention could get in. So you need to separate them all from your business application. Then, of course, on top is the analyze and act. And that is where the boys will be separated from the men. With this artificial intelligence is now where the biggest money is now spent. And this is how we separate ourselves from many of our competitors. And that's, of course, handy when, big brother HPE is there, because, they have much more money to spend. And now we're actually seeing that our roadmap is accelerating due to more financial bandwidth. Then, of course, a couple of months ago, when I recently started, there were a couple of announcements at an event called Atmosphere. One of them was the integration of ClearPass into the Edge Connect appliance. For me, that's also very new, because I've worked for many companies. Sometimes when companies, or most of the time when companies get acquired, they stay like separate entities. We have the R&D from A, R&D from B. They compete between each other. They do not want to work. And sometimes, one tries to be bigger so the other one can die. This is not the case here. We see full integration already. ClearPass integrated into the Aruba Edge Connect appliance. So that's good news for people that have Aruba ClearPass. Then we set a commitment to build in more security features, IDS, IPS. I'm going to show you a little bit what the benefits of that are. And then, of course, the most crucial differentiator, that is the open ecosystem, the freedom of choice we talk about. And I'm going to show you how that actually works out. So when you have this mindset of best of breed, I have this example of Kentic. We have a good contact with them. They searched for us. They saw that we are, let's say, the best brand in the market, and they think that they have the best application monitoring tool. And with this application monitoring tool, you can go beyond the edge. So, for instance, one of the competitors is Cisco's ThousandEye, and there where Cisco monitors all flows every 5 minutes, every 1 minute, Kentic does it every second. So there's a little bit about the differentiation. So this is for very large customers, looking at all the flows. But it's an example. I always say elephants dance with elephants, and that's a good example of best of breed finding each other to work together. So now we're going to talk a little about what do we then offer, because we have multiple offers. And this is then our SASE architecture. This is the way of presenting ourselves in the market. On the top, you can see our security partners, the Zscaler, Netscope, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, they're all there. The cloud providers, the applications, they're all there. In the midst, as said, the underlayer, we don't care anymore. And underneath, you can see the VPN client, the micro branch, and the SD branch. Now, these were products that were already there from Aruba prior to the acquisition. And on the right, you can see the enhanced SD-WAN solution that came in with the Silverpeak requirement. Now, what's interesting here is if, for instance, if we were to look at Cisco, you would say, okay, I'm doubting between Meraki and Viptela. You have to choose between one of two. You cannot blend them together. And now this year, we've made a statement, we're blending everything together underneath Aruba Central. So you could say, for instance, okay, I have like 100 shops. I need to go basic. We know we don't have any requirements, and they're all local here in Belgium. So then you can go with the SD branch. But I have international offices. We like to take out MPLS line. We want WAN optimization. And there you could choose for the enhanced solution. And you can blend them all in and see with WAN health in Aruba Central how your network is performing. That's also an additional differentiator. Then we're going to talk about, of course, so what is this enhanced? What is this Silverpeak? When you start cutting into pieces, we offer a physical and a virtual solution. Virtual, for instance, could be for military. They sometimes have these ruggedized units they carry with them in the field. We load the application on top, and they can have satellite communication anywhere in the world. Unity Orchestrator, the most important word there is the business intent overlay. That is how we steer the traffic. That's also different from what our competitors are doing. Every decision is made on a business-driven thought. And on the right, we have this WAN optimization we call Boost. Also a big differentiator, because not every company offers a WAN optimization. And for many of our competitors, it is a separate box, or you have to pay for for all of the appliances you have to pay. And we say that it's just a chunk that you buy, and then you just divide the Boost functionality over the network. And it's also already in every application. Now, recently we did a enhancement to our product line. Some of these are already doubled in capacity. And we also made a statement that customers purchasing our equipment can work with this equipment for upcoming 5 years. That's also different. I get a lot of feedback from our from persons in the field, partners, customers, that they are forced like into a forklift upgrade every 3 years. We don't do that. We have still products going 6 years back. We still support them. There's no need to do a forklift upgrade. All enhancement will be software based. So you buy the infrastructure, you put the depreciation period over 5 years. There's no forklift upgrades upcoming 5 years on the hardware, and the software is included in the license. And then of course a little bit about this license, because that's also different. We have a, the orchestrator is just one orchestrator. The course is just one course. It's very easy, very simple, and I will show you how simple it looks. The boost optimization, as said, if you have like 40 sites, you could say, okay, I'm going to start with rolling out, then I'm going with analytics. I'm going to see where I need WAN optimization. And if I have only 5 or 10 sites, I just click it on. I buy this boost license as a chunk, and I divide it over the 5 sites. You don't have to pay a license for all 40, just a chunk, and then divide it. And all units already have this built in. So it's very simple set. And what I also saw, not everybody's offering 1, 2, 3, 4 years. You can have it any way you like. It's very basic setup. Then, of course, when we start competing, it is always the question, why would you even consider us? And what comes out from the feedback in the past 6 months from end users and partners is that we have the highest quality of experience. Now, what do we mean with that? We see when we do POCs that there where competitors can go up to 8%. I even got feedback this week because we have engineers coming from VMware that joined in. We have got an engineer joined from Cisco who joined in. So we got information from the field firsthand that, for instance, VeloCloud can go only up to 2% of packet loss and still offer a high score, MOS score. And we're saying up to 8, but with VeloCloud, 2%. And then packets start dropping, the quality of voice and video start deteriorating. We say competitors can go up to 8. We can go double or even higher and still offer a high MOS score. So even if you have very crappy lines, you're thinking of completely taking out MPLS lines, over these crappy lines, you can still offer a high MOS score, good voice and video quality. That's where we truly stand out. And it's just one technique. There are multiple techniques, and there are like 3-hour sessions where we explain all of these techniques, how we do this with forward error correction, path conditioning, all these techniques that we do to secure that you get the best quality over these lines. Now, a little bit about the orchestrator. It's very important to know that the setup, the design of the orchestrator was carrier graded. So if you were to decide to move forward with the Silverpeak Aruba solution, it is possible to have like the multi-tenant solution, so that you have like multiple brands and you can give them all look and feel. So that's already from the design up. There's no scalability issues. Then, of course, the look and feel. If you can on-premise, you can go for the cloud. There are multiple variations here possible. And the tool is set up as a not so much as actual problem shooting. It is more, to look back and say, oh, I had a brownout 2 days ago. Let's zoom in. What happened there? Oh, I saw that the application, that the line switched for 7 minutes. We didn't have internet connection over the line. This is the tool, because all the decisions are made dynamically and by artificial intelligence. The lines swap over by SLAs you design yourself or set up boundaries that you can do. Now, this is then, our secret sauce. This is our secret sauce where we can define by guest, by application, the overlay. And we can choose the region. There are, for instance, you could say, okay, so for EMEA, I'm choosing Palo Alto Prism. For APAC, I'm working with Zscaler. For USA, I'm going to do with Checkpoint. You can do that per region. You can decide your own security policy. Then you can decide on your topology. Mesh, full mesh, you can decide how you want to. Then you have the primary interfaces, your secondary interface, your backup interfaces, you all define them here. And on the right, you can decide how you want your internet traffic to be routed, breakout, which security policy, how do you want them handled, which comes first, the second one, you can all decide here. And this is it. We don't You don't have to put in speeds and IP numbers, etc. This is how you fine-tune your network. And this, as said, so security is very important. If you have cameras, POS system, recruitment, you want this to be in micro-segmented. Everything has to be separated. A camera system should not have access to the HR server, right? Everything is segmented, and you can set it up with your policies very easily. So this is how we can micro-segment. Now, if you have this application-driven policy from Silverpeak, we are now adding this context-driven policy from the ClearPass. And what it gives you is very interesting, because now you can say, okay, so Facebook as an application does not have high priority. But if someone from HR or recruitment of the board is using Facebook, he or she must have high priority. So you can mix and blend overlays based on a person. That's very interesting. What you can also do is work with a security posture. Now, what do I mean with that? You can now say, if there's, for instance, ransomware attacks, there's a threat, and you see that with certain security firewall, level 10 or lower is a dangerous, then you can say everybody network that has 10 or lower is blocked immediately. So you just take out that security threat, but everybody is 97% has 10 or higher, then they can all work. What you're now seeing, there's a security threat, complete company shut down, and then they have to go over every PC. Everybody has to look, okay, so how is it the state? Can he or she work? But immediately, this is our way to zone out and to offer security. A little bit about cloud integration. Now, we do on the first packet, we know what it is, how we want to route it, and we steer it. That will truly improve your performance of the application. So that's how we say, okay, so we give the best application performance. That's because on the first packet, we know what to do. Backhaul it, breakout, whatever. This is also very interesting. So when you set up your connection to your POPs with your security partners, we define line 1 and line 2, but we also get information about the secondary POPs. So it is not that line 1 goes down, we go to connector 2, line 2 goes down, the POP goes out, and then we start searching. No, we already know that we're not connecting to Frankfurt, we're connecting to South Africa. We get continuous information from the security partner, what is the best way to route traffic in case A, B, C, D happens. And that will guarantee that you don't have application outages. Everybody can continue to work. Imagine with only 2, if you would have to do that for multiple sites. If you had to do this manually, this would be a complete disaster, because then you would indeed have situation, people calling you up, and then they will be very reactive. So that doesn't work. It has to be done all automatically. Then, of course, at the topic, I think, yeah, as said, IDC already stated, it is very important to work with best in breeds. When we say integration, as Zscaler, we are the furthest with Zscaler with regards to integration. And what do we mean with integration? Integration does not mean that you put in your subscription number in the application and then you move forward to Zscaler. No, integration means that you stay in our application, start building the tunnel, set it up, you define your business overlay, and then you push it out. And within a couple of minutes, all sites are updated. That's how it works. That's what we mean with integration. And it's not just Zscaler. We have a tunnel, and you just with drag and drop, you can define how you want to route this traffic, and you can see them all. Some are a little bit more manual, but yeah, as they open up and give us more feature, we're working with all together because we want to work with every party, the bigger brands in the market. So we're working towards everyone to have the same kind of integration. And this is actually what we see when I talk to customers. They say, okay, so we work with Zscaler. We have one customer say, how do we integrate with Prism, Palo Alto? That's a requirement. That's what their starting point. So we just need to connect. And then indeed, we have a tool called AVA, the Aruba Value Advisor. That's also a tool where you put in 3 things. That's the number of employees, the revenue, and number of sites. And then that's the basic. If you put this in, then it starts generating all kinds of numbers based on the 3,000 plus rollouts that we did worldwide. And it gives you an idea about what to expect when you roll out the Silverpeak Aruba application. That's very interesting. And you can also fine tune it per country, per need. But with these basic 3, you can already get some great results. You can do it also defined by country, etc., and region. And it will give you, I did a calculation for one customer, a Swedish car manufacturer, and it gives you interesting savings. And the savings are broad. It's just one. Your transport cost, router cost takeout, WAN optimization cost, timeout cost. It is broad. And you can also see where your return on investment is. From 3 years, ramp up, and also where you can save money. For instance, the training are for free with the Silverpeak portfolio, even the instructor-led. So for many, yeah, it's like a hidden cost. But if you have to train 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people, you don't have to pay for it. And these are multiple courses. It's a huge saving on cost, right? So and there you can see it's broad. It's just not just taking out MPLS lines. And as said, and then the total picture will sum up here. And here you can see that indeed, if you have these WAN savings, router replacement, because you're taking out the router, the on-prem router, the firewall you can take out, security integration, and a lot on manual stuff that's taken out, because it's all done automatically and dynamically. There you can have the biggest saving as well. And that's what I also see with the feedback I get from the field engineers, that you were very good on that. A lot of done dynamically, especially with companies that go through mergers and acquisition. They want to do like pop-up stores or whatever. It is very handy that a lot of stuff is automatically done, can be done very easily, and not, you know, it's not heavy on configuration and putting on all these details with the traditional routers, right? That you have to go to pages of configuration. And as I said, so we work with a broad spectrum of partners. With regards to public cloud, the security partners, the application, the infrastructure, etc. They are all there. And of course, we have a variety of references. And many customer ask us, do you have references? Yeah, vertically, in every vertical, we have references. So there's no, there's no vertical. I think that we did a reference. But we do see that some of customers, of course, don't want to share their information. But yeah, we see that a lot of customers, for instance, with the military, there's not a single military reference, but yeah, we've done a many of them. And here are the there's a lot of customers. I'm not going to talk about it, but they all have different mindset. Some of them have a different entrance point, but the outcome is always the same. So yeah, it was quite fast, I should say. Yeah, so we do have some time for questions, actually. I don't know if we want to handle the questions or.
Well, yeah, Oscar.
Yeah.
There was one question, and it was regarding, specifically about the SD-WAN and the MPLS, the comparison, and if it can replace. What happens with the MPLS? And what can our SD-WAN solution provide there as a solution?
Yeah, so, excellent. A good question. So as said, so what we are seeing is that if the requirements are low, we tend to go with the SD branch solution. Because if you have, say, okay, so we have local shops, we don't have high requirements, then the SD branch solution is sufficient with internet breakout, no WAN optimization requirement, no improvements on the quality of the lines. So then SD branch was sufficient. But we see with many international or with customers say, I do have requirements. I do want to have WAN optimization, for instance, for reduced ingress cost with the cloud provider, or we can see that that the lines are crappy, that's not good. Then it makes sense to go with the Silverpeak solution. Because as said, we see in all POCs we do that our competitors maximum is 8–9%. And in some cases could do the drop, but if you can only handle 2%, like Velo Cloud is dealing with, that will not be enough to replace the MPLS line. And there we can guarantee that we have like an MPLS-like experience if you replace it with our solution. And yeah, we have many that we can say take all MPLS out, and we can fully replace them with internet broadband lines. We can guarantee the quality is good enough because we have multiple channels. We can do tunnel bonding. So we send the traffic over multiple channels. We see if the quality is bad. We switch prior to from brownout going to blackout. Then we can already switch, and we do improvements over these lines. So there are multiple techniques that guarantee you that we have a good performance. Yeah. Is that question sufficiently answered?
If you might have other questions, of course, you can put them in the Q&A. We can still answer them. We still have time.
Yeah.
Or else maybe Oscar, you can stop a bit with the use cases that you had at the end. Maybe show a little bit more in depth, because there are different use cases, not only the cost efficiency against MPLS, but maybe other solutions.
Yeah, well, what I'm seeing from because these are deals that I haven't managed myself, but the current deals I am working at. So we have a project in Belgium, Luxembourg, where a customer says, okay, so I will remain with my MPLS line, but I want redundancy. I want a second path. What happens if my MPLS line fails? So they use it as a secondary path. And we did all the testing, showed and demonstrate, if the MPLS go out, then we have like a redundant path offering with the SD-WAN solution. So that's one of the examples that the customer said, okay, so instead of replacing, I want like redundancy built in. Yeah, but other customers, it is prior indeed that they want to reduce cost and then indeed say, okay, let's see if we can replace the MPLS lines. We did with the Belgian defense. It was very important that they have satellite communication. So we did testing with satellites with very high latency and packet loss, and we could demonstrate that we could still be able to do voice and video transport even with 600 milliseconds round trip time. So even with high latencies, we were still able to perform. So that way we can truly say, okay, so this will make sense to use this application in this case. So and there are, of course, there are other examples, and for some of them, as said, so some of them say, okay, we want to have the breakout, so especially with the security partners, there we see that, as said, that's a requirement. Zscaler or Netscope or Palo Alto for some customer working now, for the Swedish car manufacturer, the Palo Alto Prisma was a hard requirement to connect with. So that's also what we see, that they want to connect. So that's also very important that we can demonstrate that we've done references with Lois, for instance, in the US. We've integrated with Palo Alto. So we've connected this customer to have like a telephone call with the chief information officer in the US with Lois. So they could check that out, how that worked. There was also more than 500 stores rolled out in the US. Yeah. I don't know if everything was also clear with the separation between SD branch, and that's also where we get a lot of questions from, how to separate them. I could go a little bit back because I went over that very fast, but that's also something we get a lot of questions from. I'll just go back with the start of the first slide where we have this. Yeah, this one. But there's also a lot of questions we get. So when to position what, and as said, I think what's very positive about the strategy of Aruba moving forward, that you don't have to pick sides, right? You can work with a strategy. We say, okay, so I'm going to combine these two. That's also, I think, a very strong point of the Aruba portfolio, that you can say, you can do both. That's also, I think, very important to mention. The integration and all features will be enhanced there, so that's also very interesting. Yeah. And I see that, of course, I don't know if there is any questions with regards to competition. Competition we see. I think especially in our region, we see a lot of Fortinet coming in. They come in via the security angle. But yeah, I said on performance, link redundancy, we are very strong. We do testing. We see that we can truly guarantee that the application stays on and that we can shift between lines before the lines drop out. We see that some competitors have still like minutes that they need to get the lines back up. I think that's also a very strong point of the Aruba solution. Yeah. Are there more questions you would like to answer?
For the moment, we don't have any new questions in the Q&A.
Okay. Well, if you're good, then we can close the call, if we're all good.
Okay. As already told, we will send the slide deck, and also you will have access to the recording of this webinar, which will also be published on the Prodata website, the link to the recording. And furthermore, we go through the list of the attendees. To see how we will get your gifts. Normally, when you entered your details in the web form, normally you put your address there. So we go through that list. So normally the people who can get a gift will receive it normally next week. So Oscar, I want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you for setting us up.
Robin also to make this webinar possible. And yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to contact Prodata or your account manager for possible next steps. And a POC could be one of those next steps, right, Oscar?
Absolutely. And also with regards to the POC, so how did this process normally go? When a customer is interested, we see that they already are looking at another competitor. We do some time to POCs. The POCs are all for free. So we decide what the POC shall be, the term. Of course, a POC document needs to be filled out because we want to make sure that we have the long list of requirements you want to test. We're not going to drop equipment there and then pick it up later. We want to make sure that we have a long list of requirements you want to test. And then, yeah, we help you through setting up. It can be done via Prodata, but at the moment we're helping also our partners. So we help you set it up. It's very easy to set it up. And then all is done via, of course, the orchestrator tool. And then, yeah, normally a POC, 2 weeks, maximum a month. And then in the POC requirement, we start with a kickoff, then we do the POC, and then we do a debrief session where we sum it all up, the conclusions. And then, yeah, it's up to you, of course. Some customers start then with an RFP. Some customers say, okay, so now I have a clear image of what you can do. I now want to start with Riverbed, Nuage, Fortinet, or whatever. Or sometimes, of course, they already have done that testing or have done the experience, and then they decide how to move further. So yeah, but as said, the training, the POCs, they're all for free. So that's very easy access.
Oscar, actually, since we still have time, I think we have another good question. It's related to firewalling.
Yeah.
Because we have security built in our solution, but of course, some customers have firewalls. Some are thinking to replace it or not. How does that fit into our solution? Is a firewall needed or not?
Yeah, that depends, of course, on what kind of requirements you see. We're now seeing that the firewalls are now pushed out to the cloud because that's where also the applications are. And so the security follows the application. So now you're seeing the application built in via the cloud providers. That's how we're seeing. So, and in on-premise, we see with micro-segmentation that you can now separate all traffic. So with that, you're building your own, with IDS, IPS, you're building this security built in, so to speak. So prior to having everything open, now we say zero trust. Everything is closed. You decide who can talk to who. And that's how you can make sure that you have no funny stuff going on premise. For instance, with guest traffic, you decide, okay, I want it immediately routed outside, or I want guest traffic routed backhauled to the head office. You decide how each traffic moves in your network. Yeah, and let's say a guest can never have access to your HR server or whatever. You know, a guest is only where you limited to. And then also even per website, you can decide which websites are included and excluded. So you can decide all your policies yourself. Yeah. And I think that also with the best of breed policy moving forward is that for every customer, I see that they all have different requirements. And for them, some are Zscaler is the best. Some say, no, I want to work with Palo Alto. Some say we have a history with Checkpoint. They all have different requirements. And, you know, it's not for us to say what's is best. That's the decision of the customer. But what you also see that it can change. This year, you know, Zscaler might be the best solution. But perhaps next year with feature enhancement from Netscope, you could decide to say, no, I want to have Netscope. Or for instance, if you haven't paid your license on Zscaler, you just swap it over. I think that is an excellent strategy moving forward. It gives you a lot of freedom. You're not stuck in with one vendor, and it gives you also the benefits of with regards to money. There where you see with the vendor lock-in, then you are forced to forklift upgrades, then you're forced to stay with that vendor. Good and bad. If it's the best, you're lucky. If it's not the best, then there are issues. But you're locked in. You cannot no longer change. Yeah. Are there any other questions?
Not for the moment, no.
Okay.
But I think also it was a good overview of the solution. Very clear, and also all the benefits that we can have. But yeah, there are multiple. There is cost saving, but there is also security. There are many angles that we can approach depending on the customer, depending of the needs of your situation, of course.
That's it. Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. And I want to emphasize, especially having the right partner is very important. Having this open mindset, because this is a market and it is changing very rapidly. And I think it's good that you approach it with open eyes, right? So that you have multiple options, that you not lock yourself in, that you are open, that you continuously can change and adapt to changing requirements and markets. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's probably a good time to close the call. If there are any more questions, if you need more information, of course, feel free to contact Prodata, to contact David. And we will, of course, there as Aruba, as the vendor, we will there, of course, to back you up in the journey and to give our full support and whatever is needed. And always in collaboration with Prodata.
Thank you all for joining.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Have
a good day.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye.